Season 2 of Fall Guys has launched with an out-of-this-world theme featuring everything outer space related, including aliens, asteroids, and some rockets. We have 8 new maps with objects and mechanics unique to each of them and the season, and we'll be covering all those in this video. My name's Casey, this is Zenith Peak Gaming, and we're going to be covering each of the new maps, some tips and tricks, and then in a later video we'll talk about the season as a whole along with the season pass. So, let's get into it. Our first map is Space Race. This is your first to the finish map. Start at the beginning, work your way towards the end. You will encounter everything from hammer Roombas, zero gravity zones, many platforms, air jets, and some conveyors with swinging lollipops to knock you off. So starting off with some new objects this season, we have the air jets. You'll notice these white circles on the ground and jets of air that come out of them periodically. You'll see when they're about to turn on when the color starts to change, and then eventually they'll start to go white and turn off. Be careful running into them or jumping around them. They have a very hard bounce and will absolutely launch you in directions you don't want to go if you hit them. Specifically, at the end of Space Race, there is a bit of a bug known where if you stand exactly between 4 of the jets, it's not going to launch you to the finish line like you think it is, and instead you're going to experience the beam tornado going and bouncing between all of them. Next up, we have the reversing conveyor belts. So you'll notice that the conveyor belts are orange and blue. They will change color periodically, and when they do, they'll actually pause for a bit before changing the directions. One idea that you might have is you know that if a belt has been on for a little bit, it's going to change directions. So don't worry about running diagonally and having that bit of a crab angle. Instead, just run it straight across and let it push you left, then back right, and you will eventually end up in a pretty straight line. The last of the new objects on Space Race is going to be the Roombas. So these little happy guys will lock onto the first player that gets close to them and effectively just go try to bump them out of the way. The Roombas on various levels are going to have different objects attached to the top of them. On this level, you're going to have hammers. On some other levels, you're going to have bouncing blocks, or you might even have buttons that you need to press. Space Race has plenty of other objects and obstacles from the other seasons thrown into it. Classic hexagons are thrown in as a mechanic on this map. However, they will refill eventually. Gravity zones are back, giving you low gravity bounces and jumps between the platforms. Platforms are back in very many ways. Some go up and down, side to side, and some even flip and rotate depending on where and when you get on and off of them. The general idea for this map is that there is going to be a high road and a low road. You should probably take the high road whenever possible. Some parts it requires a little effort to get there, or you just have to be the first one to that area. Eventually, you're going to end up on the low road sometimes. This is going to happen just as a result of not exactly being in the front, such as the hexagon area where they haven't refilled in time, and it's simply faster just to drop down and make it through the rest. Up next, we have our second new map. We have Cosmic Highway. This is effectively Space Frogger. It's just a long single line where you have to run and jump between obstacles that are moving left and right and eventually get to the finish. This is going to be where we see a new object, one of the bounce pads. It's the gray circle with the colored hexagon on top. Very similar to the bounce pads of previous seasons, however, these ones behave slightly differently, as in they want to be hit more directly on. If you hit the sides, you can kind of slide off the edge and not get the bounce you want. Notably, later on in the level, some of the bounce pads inside of the rotating circles are facing forward and will give you more of a forward launch when you hit them. With this map, it's easy to misjudge the distances between the moving platforms. All of the platforms, as you get farther and farther down the level, are slightly lower than the next. This makes it a bit of an optical illusion jumping between them, but just take your time. Don't try to second guess or rush anything. Patience is honestly the key to this game. Now, let's talk about relative motion. This is something that's going to help you greatly, is understanding how you are moving in regard to the other objects around you. If you are on a platform that is moving to the right, your body, even if you hold forward, is going to have a natural right movement to it as well. And if you look at it from above, you're going to be moving forward and to the right. Keep this in mind when trying to jump platform to platform. It's always best to try to jump towards the platform that's going towards you. If the platform is moving away for you and you try to jump on it, it's going to be moving in the opposite direction you're currently on, and it's going to be harder to jump. If you jump with the direction that your platform is currently moving, it's going to feel like it gives you a little bit of extra distance. Lastly, talking about the rotating circles, it's best to always try to run with the direction of rotation. You have a maximum speed as a player, but you can increase that maximum speed if you run with the direction of rotation. If you are trying to fight the current and run the wrong direction, you're just going to end up going slower. Either try to jump across the middle, hit the bouncy pad in the middle, or just run all the way around, and it's going to end up being faster. The next map we have is Frantic Factory. This is a basic hunt map. You are hunting for the yellow buttons, try to press the maximum amount possible, hit that threshold, and qualify to the next round. To press these buttons, all you have to do is simply stand on them. Your weight is enough to push them, even in the low gravity zones. These buttons have a bit of a difference from the past seasons, which is when you stand on them, they will depress and then reset and boost you upwards as if it's a bounce pad. Our next map is Hyperdrive Heroes. This is a hoverboard survival map similar to the one from the Hoverboard Heroes map in a previous season. Effectively, fall off and you die. Similar to Slime Scraper and Slime Climb, you got one life and there's no respawning. One of the keys to this map is you don't want to go too fast and you don't want to go too slow. If you're going too fast, you risk getting pushed off the front end of the board, and if you go too slow, you risk getting pushed off the back end, or you can just miss the boat altogether. Notably, in the section with the hexagons and the hammer Roombas, if you try to go the long way around, you might not make it in time to get back on the boat, in which case, you still are alive, but you cannot qualify. Good strategy for this map is try to be near the front of the pack. This is going to ensure that you are the first one to encounter some of the objects, which include hexagons, which do refill eventually, however it takes about 10 seconds. It's best to dictate your own path and not be forced to take the leftovers of what people have done before you. Lastly, all I can say is be careful with some of the uphill jumps. It feels a bit odd because you don't really think about jumping uphill, because with your parabola, if you're jumping uphill, you are going to jump a shorter distance, and you gotta really make sure you get over the apex of the jump to get up those lips and ledges. Next up, we have Star Chart. This map has a bunch of invisible bridges that you gotta find and run across to get to the finish. Pretty straightforward. The gimmick with this one is that each of the platforms has a button. When you press on the button, the map at the end of the level will show information in bits. The more buttons get pressed, the more information is shown. Additionally, there are asteroids that orbit about some of the platforms. Watch out for them when trying to run across so you don't get knocked off. The best tip I can have for you is try to look at the map and remember as much of the information as possible. Pick out a single route and then just follow it quickly. There are some of the bridges that are jumpable if you don't have a clear path to another one, but you know that an invisible bridge is somewhere that is jumpable. Go ahead and jump, dive to it, and you can make it. For our last normal map, we have Pixel Painters. Notably, this is the one that is causing the most grief in the community right now because it is a teamwork-based game. This game requires you to recreate the image on the screen by making it on the pad in front of you. You can run across each of the tiles. When you run across a tile, it's either going to switch on or off opposite of whatever it last was. Notably, teamwork is absolutely required. If you don't understand the game and you don't understand the picture, you're just going to be hindering your team. Understand what's going on, and if you do see some that is either trolling or griefing or making it impossible to qualify, all I have to say is good luck. And your best option is try to tackle your teammate into a corner and leave at least one person free to complete the picture. Our last two maps are finals specific maps. Up first, we have Hexaterrestrial. This is similar in nature to the Hexagon finals map, but there is only one tile of hexagons in this map. The hexagons will refill eventually. It's about 10 seconds between when they disappear and when they refill. Notably, the longer you go in the level, the walls will start to close in, shrinking the map, offering you less hexagons to use. There is a variant with the blast balls that is possible to get. Blast balls are the same as they are in the past. Pick it up, it's going to start counting down, and when it pops, it will actually knock away some of the hexagons on its own. This is a good way to clear out large areas of hexagons, or obviously try to knock your opponents into the areas that it's going to open up. The two basic strategies you can either go for is you can either play aggressive, try to run across as many tiles as possible, cut off other people, or try to grab them and push them into the open areas. Your other option to play is a little more passive. Try to conserve tiles by jumping between them slowly, even in the beginning. There's no real reason to run around with your chicken like a chicken with your head cut off unless you're trying to kill other players. Our last map is Tiptoe Final. This is a similar concept to the old map of Tiptoe, however this one is the finals with the crown that you have to grab. Obviously there is a secret hidden path you have to discover yourself, and you can see which tiles are fake tiles because you'll notice they give you a little shake. There are 4 different paths to take, however every team has the same board in front of them. So if you can see what path the other players are taking, you can see the path that is on your board as well. At the top of the map, you'll notice there is a button that launches objects onto the tiles. These objects can affect the tiles and will show if they're fake or real. Once you make it past the tiles, you will see the bouncy tower. On the bouncy tower, there are rotating platforms in levels. Your best bet is going to be to jump on the platforms. Because of the shape of the tower and its bouncy nature, it's going to bounce you up and away from the center. If you're on the second to last layer, you don't have to wait for the last platform. You can jump and dive to the center and grab the crown quickly. Similar to the Hyperdrive Heroes warning, where I'm saying be careful with your uphill jumps because they're going to feel shorter than they are, the entire Tiptoe map is downhill, which means you can actually jump slightly longer than previously. You can jump about 2 tile spaces between. Notably, this means that if you are down to the last 2 rows of the tile path, you can just jump all the way to the finish line effectively. Alright, that is a wrap up of all the 8 new maps in Season 2 of Fall Guys Out of This World. Go ahead and leave a comment down below with your favorite and your least favorite maps. Like I said previously, I will have another video discussing Season 2 as a whole, what I think about it, what the community thinks about it, and what the Season Pass entails, and if it's a good deal or not. Anyways, again, this is Casey with Zenith Peak Gaming. Thanks for watching.